For tens of thousands of years, the story of human counting was one of deeply carved physical tallies, basic marks used to track the seasons and the passing of time. These one-to-one markers were sufficient for nomadic hunter-gatherers. If you only need to track the moon or a few pieces of game, a handful of scratches on a bone works perfectly. The shift began with the first permanent agricultural settlements. Humans stopped moving and began to stay in one place. Living in one spot allowed for the accumulation of massive agricultural wealth. For the first time, people were managing surplus grain, huge herds of livestock, and a central tax system. But the old tallies couldn't scale to this new complexity. A city cannot distribute grain or collect taxes if it takes a month just to count its own inventory. The system was reaching a breaking point. By 3200 BC, the city of Uruk had reached an unprecedented scale. Temple priests faced a crushing logistical load, struggling to manage the massive state surpluses flowing into their storerooms. To cope, they used thousands of loose clay tokens. A cone might represent a measure of grain. A small cylinder represented a sheep. But the sheer volume of trade made physical tokens impossible to manage. They were too easy to lose, too easy to forge, and too bulky to track as the city's wealth grew. Scribes realized they didn't need physical tokens. They simply pressed those shapes into wet clay, replacing loose objects with a two-dimensional record. These specific wedge marks represent the birth of written numerals, the first time humanity abstracted a physical object into a symbolic number. Numbers weren't the result of an academic brainstorm. They were a tool for data compression, invented by overwhelmed accountants who needed to clear out their desks. As the Empire of Babylon expanded, simple inventory was no longer enough. The state now needed to survey land, build canals, and calculate complex tax algorithms for an entire kingdom. The Babylonian solution was the base 60 positional system. Unlike our base 10 system, 60 is divisible by almost every small number. This made it a powerful engine for mapping geometry, standardizing weights, and tracking astronomical cycles with incredible precision. We are still using that ancient Babylonian engine today. Every time you look at a 60-minute hour or a 60-second minute, you're using the same mathematical architecture built by ancient administrators to manage their tax books. In Egypt, the central challenge was labor. The state had to feed and compensate thousands of workers, and they had to do it using perishable goods like bread and beer. Scribes used a metric called the psal value to determine exactly how much grain went into every loaf of bread and every jar of beer. But dividing these rations wasn't simple. Supervisors received more than laborers, requiring scribes to break whole units into maddeningly small fractions, like 1/3, 1/7, and 1/15. Calculating fractions from scratch was a recipe for disaster. Scribes carried massive cheat sheets, pre-calculated tables to distribute rations instantly. This same practical focus shows up in geometry. These triangle and trapezoid diagrams were procedural instructions for surveying land and calculating storage volumes. These manuals were the daily operational lifelines for the scribes who kept the Egyptian economy functioning. This was mathematics as an operational manual, a pragmatic tool used to manage grain and labor to ensure the stability of the state. Mathematics emerged as a tool for statecraft, resource control, and economic survival. If we strip away the complex tables of the Egyptian bureaucracy and look past the dense geometry of Babylon, we find ourselves back at the clay tokens of Uruk.